Bring in Barbara Slavin. She's a distinguished fellow at the Stimson Center, and before that she founded and directed the Future of Iran initiative at the Atlantic Council. Barbara, thank you very much indeed for joining us on the programme. Thank you for your time. Given how vocal the United States has been in trying to stop this conflict enveloping the region, why would Israel take such provocative action?
Well, we have to remember that this individual was on an Israeli hit list even before October 7th. Very, very senior figure in Hamas. So I don't think it's surprising that Israel would go after him when it saw the opportunity to do so in Beirut. Yes, you're right. The U.S. does not want the war to expand, but it understands that there are certain actions that Israel will take in retaliation for the Hamas attacks, and going after Hamas leaders is clearly one of those things. Israel so far has not been able to find the leader of Hamas in Gaza or the leader of the Qasem brigades, but they did get this individual who was very senior.
Now the leader of Hezbollah a short time ago has promised that the deaths of these key officials, Hamas officials, will not go unpunished. I mean, how complicated is the nature of the response from Hezbollah? Because how they respond could shape the fortunes of this war, but surely would have a massive impact on Hezbollah itself.
Well, so far we have not seen any inclination on the part of Hezbollah to really attack Israel. And I don't think that calculation has changed. I mean, Hezbollah has something like 100,000 rockets. But if it were to begin to try to target Israeli cities and not just the border area, Israel would respond massively. And I think Benjamin Netanyahu is just itching, frankly, to do so. The longer this war goes on, the longer he stays in power. And there is a sense that the Israelis are really ready to broaden the conflict if necessary. For his political reasons, and also to show that Israel is still strong, that Israel still has power after October 7th.
At the very least, Israel knows that Lebanon just simply can't afford another costly war with Israel like they had in 2006. How about Iran in all of this? It's been largely cautious when it comes to Gaza so far, but should that be expected to continue, particularly in light of the explosions that happened in Iran today?
Well, again, we have to wait and see who was really responsible for those explosions. There are a lot of potential suspects. Kerman province is right next to Baluchistan province in Iran, which has been the scene of a lot of unrest, especially since the Masa Amini protests of last year, the protests against the enforced hijab. Lots and lots of skirmishes between Baluch separatists and Iran. And they, of course, hated Qasem Soleimani and hated the Quds Force and hated the IRGC. There is also the Mujahideen Hulk, which is a group that has been on the terrorism list in the past in the United States, that fell out with the Iranian regime after the 1979 revolution. And when I saw the numbers of dead, I was thinking of the bombings that the MEK carried out after the 1979 revolution in the Iranian parliament and so on, this kind of mass casualty event. It could have been ISIS. So we just don't know. I think the only thing we can say is that Iranian security is clearly lacking, that they didn't have adequate protection for an event like this, commemorating the 4th anniversary of the U.S. assassination of Qasem Soleimani, the Quds Force chief. And I think there's a lot of soul searching going on now in Tehran to figure out who actually was responsible, both for the attack and for the security lapse.
Sure. And when it comes to Iran's proxies, we have seen skirmishes, as you mentioned, on the border with Lebanon. We've seen these attacks by the Houthi rebels in the Red Sea. Should Israel prepare now for reprisals in the coming days and weeks?
Well, I think Israel certainly has to be on the alert, particularly on its northern border. The Houthis, it seems the U.S. Navy is dealing with that issue in the Red Sea, and this, I think, is more of an annoyance than a real contribution to the so-called resistance against Israel. I think one has to look at the West Bank and how volatile the situation is there. And of course, the war in Gaza grinds on, and people are dying every day, Gazans and Israeli soldiers. I think that Netanyahu wants to deflect attention from what has happened in Gaza by going after Hamas targets elsewhere.
Barbara, I'm delighted we could re-establish that line with you. Good to talk to you today. Thanks for coming on the programme.
You're quite welcome. Thank you.